everybody, how's it going? My name is Nick, better known here as Avialence, and today I'm actually bringing you a video that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, and that is share my feelings, thoughts, and opinions on the Elder Scrolls Online beta and alpha test, which I've actually participated in, but haven't been able to discuss until recently when all the restrictions were kind of lifted. So today we're going to dive into the Elder Scrolls Online beta particularly, and also some of the points made in the alpha, and focus on if it's really an Elder Scrolls game, what elements are there, what are missing, and kind of what I enjoyed and also disliked when it comes down to this new view of Tamriel. So let's go ahead, hop into the world, and see what's going on.
Oh, keep playing the flute, maybe some ladies will come by.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Oh good.
I'm just improving my pecs.
This is all feet power.
So now that I can actually talk about the beta since the NDA has been lifted, let's go ahead and kind of recap where I've been. So I've actually been in the beta since November of 2013, actually before that too, if you want to look at it that way. I was in a few previous test periods for alpha, so to speak, was media. And the game before this beta in March, guys, was rough, choppy, and had plenty of lag problems and functionality issues. That's my big thing. So overall, combat was laggy, non-responsive, and it didn't really feel like the Elder Scrolls. It was a broken standard MMO, is what my initial opinion was going into the previous betas. So, naturally, I was extremely discouraged from playing the game, and I mean, I'm sure some of you guys have asked me on social media. I've done a couple talking ESO videos here, but I was just extremely discouraged. Now, going into this beta, which is the beta period from February 28th until March 2nd, I gotta admit, I had a different feeling. So in this beta, it was clean, responsive, improved, and it felt more like an Elder Scrolls game combat-wise. However, it did have massive lag issues. And I mean, this happened around Saturday night, probably around 11 p.m. I had gathered together with all the guys after work and, getting all the yard work and housework and all that stuff done. And we had planned to spend the night playing ESO. However, we kept getting kicked out and having lag delays in combat as well as delayed abilities and login problems. So outside of that, this beta was a little bit better. But there's a couple points I want to discuss in this video, and I want to make sure that you guys are aware that we will cover highlights and important points to me, as this is my impressions video. So don't get mad if I miss something. Just ask in the comments and we'll make it a discussion, because there's a lot to talk about with this game, and it's really hard to do in a 10 to 12 minute first impressions video. So let's go ahead and jump into character creation. Now, character creation this time, I did start a new character. I took it a little more seriously, optimized the game and stuff. I ended up making myself a Khajiit Nightblade. Now, there's plenty of depth in the character creation video that I actually did. It'll showcase all that, but there's plenty of depth in the character creation. And it beats most MMOs I've previously played in my experience as a gamer. Now, it still doesn't feel 100% like the Elder Scrolls, which is really what really gets me about this game in a lot of aspects. What I mean is that many options are cross-race and don't feel too unique. While some of these hairstyles and things did cross-race in Skyrim, for example, when it came to like Morrowind and Oblivion, things were very different between the races. And namely, the big thing in ESO is the tattoos, decals, etc. They're not unique in most cases. Where you compare the Wood Elf tattoos to the Nord tattoos, 3 of the 4, I believe, are the same, so maybe they'll add a few more in, but it doesn't feel like there's really a difference when it comes to the face paint, this, that, and the other, which kind of drove me back a bit. But I was able to create a Khajiit that I was very happy with, and I enjoyed my time with that Khajiit. So character creation, not half bad. Now, gameplay-wise, there's a couple points I want to touch on here. Combat feels better, improved, and clean. The melee combat actually is very responsive. The big thing is it has weight, right? When you're swinging a two-handed weapon or you're doing a power attack, there's weight in your attacks, which is something I don't really feel in MMOs, but you would feel in a game like Skyrim, so to speak. So it's nice to have that there, and I can really appreciate the system of having weight, having movement, and being able to be active in combat. It is a traditional, Elder Scrolls combat system, which I think everyone knows at this point, and it functions like that. Now, there's combat roles in this game, which are fantastic. They work really well and add to the AoE combat abilities. These AoE things will pop up occasionally, and it'll allow you to roll in and out, and as well as, get around, so to speak. So the combat roles are nice, and I honestly wish that we got these in games like Skyrim without having to go into the sneak tree, right? But they're nice features. I enjoy them, and they work well with a lot of the AoE abilities built into the game. My only opinion on those is they do drain a lot of stamina really quick, so that's something that's worth noting. Hopefully they'll decrease that, or there's an ability that decreases that later down the road. Now, of course, we have to talk about abilities here. I extremely dislike the HUD and the hotbar. This is something that, again, with Elder Scrolls, I'm not used to using. I did get used to using after about 6 hours. I did play the beta almost 30 hours this weekend, so I dropped a lot of time into it on 2 different classes. The Dragon Knight and the Nightblade, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I did extremely dislike the HUD. I don't like the abilities being there. It doesn't feel too much like Elder Scrolls, and it feels more like Guild Wars, so to speak. And that's what I kind of got with the gameplay here. It's a blend between Guild Wars, and they're trying really to implement a lot of traditional Elder Scrolls combat in there, which is, the basic attacks. But again, it doesn't feel complete. It feels a little choppy, and it's something that I would much rather play, in a Guild Wars game. Now, I do understand the freedom, and I was looking forward to that freedom in an Archer. I played an Archer, and I ended up swapping to Dual Weld. Now, Archery feels entirely ruined, and I mean this from an Elder Scrolls standpoint. There's auto-aim in this game, so when I'm aiming an arrow at somebody, and I shoot that arrow, as long as that target is glowing, so to speak, will hit that target. There's no way for me to get headshots or miss shots, cripple legs, things of that nature. Now, this is something that I know doesn't have too much of an effect, so to speak, in Skyrim, because this was only in there because of my modded Skyrim, but it's something that takes away from the feeling of Archery. You also don't have arrows. You cannot change arrow types. Those are equipped with your bow. Again, very frustrating because I used to have tons of different arrow types that I would carry around with different poisons on them and different enchantments, things of that nature, so that I was able to have a variety to my Archery. I was able to use strategy and tactics, and that's something that's not here. Now, there's no poisons, at least so far as I've experienced. I know alchemy is a profession in this game, but I've been told that there's none of the poisons I would typically use as an archer. These are paralytic poisons, invisibility potions, things of that nature that would allow me to be a stealth archer, feel like an assassin, and actually hunt down my prey. That was so disappointing. I don't like having my range limited either. You will have your abilities, and your arrows are limited to a set range, which that's an MMO game, but I can't do a lot of sniping, so to speak, with my bow. I have to get the ability Snipe, which is at the bottom of the archery tree, so it's a little frustrating. And I mentioned I played 2 classes. I played the Nightblade and the Dragon Knight. During my time as the Nightblade, this is supposedly the rogue or stealth class in the game, and it felt focused on melee combat and didn't actually feel stealthy. I felt more like a dual-weld kind of shadow-stepping rogue from World of Warcraft, so to speak. I focused on the ranged Nightblade and went with the Shadow Tree. And the Shadow Tree is built on giving you abilities that allow you to have some subterfuge, bounce around the battlefield, things of that nature. With dual welding as a backup was my main thing. Now, it feels focused, like I said, on melee combat, doesn't feel stealthy at all. So abilities didn't feel like they had much impact in the Shadow Tree. I used Shadow Cloak, which would give you a 2.5 second cloak and a chance at a 70% critical. But by the time I'd raise an arrow and notch it in my bow, guys, the effect wore off. So I wasn't able to actually use this as an archer, and it was quite frustrating. The animations for Archery are a little crude as well. I hope that I see some improvement with them, but overall it wasn't too terrible. It's just Archery doesn't have the same impact, versatility, and feeling that it does in the Elder Scrolls games, and honestly, I had more fun playing my Dragon Knight than I did my Archer, which I've always played an Archer in every Elder Scrolls game since I was a kid. That is my thing, so it was a little disappointing to see that in this game. Now, as a Dragon Knight, melee plays great, which is something I can totally get behind. Abilities felt much better on the Dragon Knight, tailored and refined compared to the Nightblade. They had impact, they had functionality, and I also focused on dual welding heavy armor as my Dragon Knight, which worked great. I mean, again, the melee combat in this game feels solid, well thought out, and planned, but when it comes down to the archery, it's a little rough. So, overall, on the combat side of things and the classes, melee feels better, which is a bad thing in my opinion. Archery feels like it needs plenty of work still, while the magic is also pretty balanced. I did not play a mage in this beta, so I didn't have any footage. All the footage you guys are seeing is actually from this beta, but that's the note there. Now, skills are varied here. They don't feel like an MMO. They feel like Elder Scrolls abilities in most case scenarios, but it kind of seems like a blending of the Guild Wars and World of Warcraft system into this ESO system. Abilities can be unlocked via guilds. Through my time, I was actually able to unlock some via the Fighters Guild. But I did experience some guild stuff, so let's go ahead and chat about that real quick. The Fighters Guild added a whole new skill line focused on hunting Daedra undead and knocking out the Daedric gates of Molag Bal, the anchors that are attaching to Nirn. So it's essentially a leveling system based on hunting Daedra, which is awesome. I love that. I love how I'm able to hunt Daedra, and that is a leveling system that improves my character that I don't have to grind. It's basically focused on the element of the grind, right? That's typical in an MMO. And it gave that grind purpose that doesn't just give me gear or help my character. It helps integrate into the story and make you feel like you're doing something meaningful. You are becoming a better Daedra hunter by wiping out these gates of Molag Bal and taking care of all the anchors. I mean, it's fantastic, and I love that that's built in there. Now, the Mages Guild, I did not do, but it may be similar. So if you guys had any Mages Guild experience, drop it in the comments below. And of course, the Thieves Guild as well. I don't know if that's in there. Are there any other guilds that we need to really worry about? I like the idea of the guild in the MMO. I think it's a good brand, and I think they did a pretty good job with it. Now, moving on to random events. This is something that really kind of blew my mind. So there's these anchors. They're the anchors of Molag Bal. These events are huge, and during my time with ESO, this was the part that I enjoyed the most this weekend. So gates could be seen and heard from across the map. I could be in the city blacksmithing and hear a giant ka-chunk, right? And then you see the gate crash down on the horizon.
This might be a bad idea.
I think this is a bad idea. Yeah, here comes the gate.
That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, that was. And it makes them feel like part of the world. Whereas the rifts in Rift, obviously, a lot of the random events in Guild Wars, things of that nature, felt more scripted, and it seemed like they were repetitive. The anchors make perfect sense because when you go to these ritual sites, you'll see a bunch of worm cultists throw down this summoning spell, do a sacrifice, nail the gate. You can kill those cultists, but the gate will still come down. And the way that the gate goes and leaves is phenomenal. It is integrated into the world. Now, the nice thing is these events tied directly into my Fighters Guild experience, which I loved, right? That purpose, that sense of belonging. I was able to kill enemies, release the 4 locks on the anchor, and then a boss will actually come down after that. So by killing enemies, their souls feed into these locks. You disable the locks, and then a final one comes down and drops a boss. Now, this boss can vary from different things. We had bone golems to giant flesh atronox, things of that nature. And you kill this boss and then get loot. These bosses actually change from gate to gate, even if you're farming the same gate, and also, drop varied loot for your character. Now, the animations here are great, the sound quality is phenomenal, and I really love what they've done with this concept. This is a cool concept because I can get a bunch of my friends together and say, hey guys, we need to go hunt some Daedra to level up our Fighters Guild experience, let's do it. And we go actually hunt Daedra, and it feels like there's a purpose. Now, while professionally I know that this is a grind, right, this is a grind element in an MMO, I can appreciate it because it actually feels meaningful. Now, moving on from the anchors of Molag Bal, the gates of Molag Bal, let's go ahead and jump into crafting. So, it's easily one of the most impressive pieces of ESO. This is something that I did not experience in previous betas because I heard it was broken. But you basically pick an item to make, then a material, and then a stone to dictate the style. These styles are of the 12 races, which is fantastic. And then you can also modify the gear with runes that you find around the world or that you craft via crafting. Now, by increasing the amount of material, you increase the quality of the item, and thus the level that you need to wear that gear. This is amazing because what they've done is take the Skyrim and the Oblivion system of armor, of blacksmithing, right? And crafting this, that, and the other, mixed them into professions that everyone can have, and that's the one thing I really love. I have all the professions. I don't have to pick 2 or 3 and then rely on someone else to make my potions. I can use all those professions and level them up as I see fit. Again, love this concept because I would go out and I'd collect a bunch of iron ore, right? And then I'd make armor to level that up and then sell that to friends or sell that out in the world. It's really nice and it's really cool in concept. Now, there were specific locations that we found, 2 mainly, which allowed us to create specific armor sets native to that location. I don't know how exactly that's going to work, but it'd be really cool to see that in effect. These armor sets, while you can create them in the various styles, when paired up with parts, like 2 or 3 parts or the full set, things of that nature, they give you abilities, which again is phenomenal. So there were the specific locations that we found that allowed us to create these, and I'm interested to see kind of what that has an impact on overall. Now, there's the ability to unlock and craft gear based on different races' style. This is something I want in all of my Elder Scrolls games, single player included. While we have stuff like Dwemer and Steel and Iron, I'm actually able to make a steel set of armor in the Khajiit style, right, of armor smithing. Or I'm able to make a steel set of armor for my Khajiit in the Breton armor smithing style. I mean, it's phenomenal, and I really like this concept. It adds a lot to the game that really increases the level of customization, which I adore. So, overall, this is my first time actually experiencing the crafting system firsthand, making my own gear, and I'm really satisfied with the game's crafting, and this is one of my chief concerns, to go ahead and throw that out there. So, I mean, overall, guys, that's kind of just, again, very, very basic stuff that I felt about this beta. This is a first impressions video, an impressions piece, so I want to try to get as much information out as quickly as possible. After playing the beta for months, guys, I can say that ESO is an MMO. It's not an Elder Scrolls game. And while there's concepts here that have the Elder Scrolls in them, I'm still on the fence whether to buy it or not, right? Fans of the single-player games of the Elder Scrolls series may not enjoy ESO, especially if you pick it up on the console. While I feel that a lot of these functions and menus are native and designed for a console, the selection wheel, the group selection wheel, things of that nature, it plays better on a PC. And I can almost guarantee that I plugged in a controller, used Xpatter, and tried it. And guys, it is just a pain. But I don't know. I mean, that's something you guys will have to tell me when you pick it up on the console. So, play it on the PC. Now, archery and stealth felt very limited and broken, but the single-player experience of Elder Scrolls cannot work in an MMO setting with those stealth elements, and because this is the character that I've played for the last, 12 years in all the Elder Scrolls titles, this killed ESO for me. This really did. Now, I had fun with the Dragon Knight, but, that's not my Elder Scrolls character. That's not the character I always make, so it was a little disappointing to see that outside of here. But anyway, that is what we're going to talk about kind of for this first impressions piece, guys, this impressions piece. So go ahead, let me know, how you feel about ESO, if you've enjoyed the beta. If you have any questions, too, that I didn't touch on this video, I'll be releasing some more in-depth discussions with guests that I played the ESO beta with over the past 6 months here on the channel. So if you're looking for some good ESO discussion and footage, stay tuned here on this channel for that, so hit that subscribe button. I have videos all week focusing on different ESO elements. We're going to talk about crafting, we're going to talk about armor, how the Daedric Gates work, the anchors, the questing system, things of that nature, and bring in some various people, like I said. So, a lot of stuff coming up, guys. Really looking forward to it. If you enjoyed this little impressions piece, hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe for more. And, of course, share this video with your friends if they're looking for a little bit of insight into the Elder Scrolls Online. So, I'm excited. Still don't know if I'm going to pick it up. I'll be sure to let you guys know. And until next time, my name is Avialence. Thank you very much for watching.